An archetype is a typical character, action, or situation that represents the universal pattern of human nature. It can be a character, theme, symbol, setting, etc. The book Beowulf and the movie The Hunger Games both have different archetypes of their own. However, most of the archetypes from these stories are very similar in meaning. Even though the overall tales of Beowulf and the Hunger Games are completely different, the elements that make them up are interrelated.
The archetypal hero in the Hunger Games is Katniss Everdeen. Katniss was raised humbly in a poor, coal-mining town known as District 12. Although Beowulf was born into a noble family, even he was not expected to achieve the greatness he did. Katniss embarked on her heroic journey because when her sister's name was called to compete in the Hunger Games, she volunteered to save her sister. Katniss was a brave hero and put her life in danger just to save her loved one. Similarly, Beowulf embarked on his journey to help the Danes rid of the terrible monster killing their people. Beowulf, like Katniss, was selfless and took on an obstacle that could get him killed to save others. When Beowulf goes into battle with Grendel's mother, he kills her with a special sword made by giants. Without his sword, he would not have succeeded. The special weapon that Katniss uses through and through is her bow and arrow. Katniss is very skilled in archery, and without them, she would be unable to succeed in the Hunger Games. Although Beowulf willingly kills and Katniss is forced into it because of the games, they both achieve glory and appreciation for it. Beowulf kills Grendel, Grendel's mother, and the dragon in return for his name and story to be told to people everywhere. When Beowulf dies, his name is remembered because he was a great hero and he fought battles for his people. In the same way, Katniss killed people in the Hunger Games to stay alive and win the games for her poor district. District 12 idolizes Katniss when she succeeds in winning. In the end of Beowulf, he has a tower built so that when people pass, they see it and remember his name. The tower reminds people of Beowulf. In the Hunger Games, the Mockingjay comes to symbolize Katniss, freedom, bravery, and rebellion. When people see the Mockingjay, they are reminded of Katniss. Katniss had a few mentors to prepare her for the Hunger Games, the most prominent mentor being Haymitch. Haymitch taught Katniss how to catch the eye of the Capitol, how to make allies, and what to expect in the arena. Haymitch mentors Katniss like Hrothgar mentors Beowulf. Both archetypes also have enemies or an evil character. In Beowulf, the evil characters are Grendel, Grendel's mother, the dragon, and Unferth. In the Hunger Games, the evil character is slightly different. The enemy is the Capitol, and just like Beowulf defeated his enemies, Katniss's ultimate goal is to rebel against the Capitol for forcing people to kill each other for the amusement of others.
At the beginning of the Hunger Games, we are introduced to the main character, Katniss, who lives in a poor coal mining district, or District 12. She has never left the outskirts of her district, so she doesn't know what the outside world is like. In Beowulf, the main character Beowulf does not live in a poor community and has seen some parts of the outside world. However, he does have a home like Katniss that he is most comfortable with. Both of these characters are called to adventure away from their homes to places that they have never been before. They both have to cross a threshold in order to achieve their destinies. The definition of a threshold in terms of being an archetypal setting element is a gateway to a new world that a hero must enter in order to change and grow. Katniss must cross the threshold from the one place she knows, District 12, to the Capitol, and then eventually to the arena of the Hunger Games. Here she fights many battles in order to achieve her goal of victory, or more importantly, staying alive. Beowulf must do the same thing for his own journey. Beowulf must leave his home in Geatland to travel to the land of the Danes, where he battles 3 monsters in order to protect the Danes and prove his greatness. The wilderness plays a major role in both of these tales as well. The wilderness is a place where rules don't apply and people and things can be wild and free. In the Hunger Games, Katniss often goes just outside the gates of District 12 to hunt in the woods. This is the one place where she can do whatever she wants without having to worry about being constricted to her home. In Beowulf, the terrible monster Grendel lives in the woods. He is a savage beast who roams free and doesn't let anyone or anything get in his way. With the forest as his hiding place and refuge, he is free to do whatever he wishes. In every great epic, the hero has to make an important decision where there could be intense suffering for themselves or others. This archetypal setting is called the crossroads. Beowulf faces a crossroads multiple times on his journey. Every time that he has to go up a new monster, he puts himself at risk of dying. For example, when he has to fight Grendel's mother, he goes by himself in order to protect the lives of his fellow soldiers. This was a courageous decision that could have led to his own suffering and death. At the very beginning of the Hunger Games, Katniss is forced to make a very courageous decision as well. Her sister Prim is picked to participate in the Hunger Games. As soon as this happens, Katniss is devastated because she knows that Prim has a very unlikely chance of surviving. Because of this knowledge and compassion that Katniss has, she volunteers to go instead of Prim in order to protect her. Both Beowulf and Katniss are forced to make major decisions on the spot for the good of others.
The plot in The Hunger Games is an archetype to Beowulf. The story begins with Katniss in District 12, the poorest district in Panem. Katniss is in a world of coal miners and essentially lives off the land. Beowulf comes from a wealthy family in a world of nobles. He lives in Geatland. Even though both heroes come from different backgrounds, they both sustain the same courage and strength. The call to adventure occurs in the beginning of both stories. In The Hunger Games, Katniss receives her call to adventure when her sister Prim is nominated to be a tribute for the annual Hunger Games. Katniss does not want to see her sister go, so she finds the courage to volunteer herself as tribute. Beowulf receives his call to adventure after hearing about troubles in Denmark. Beowulf, being unable to ignore the troubles in Hrothgar's land, gathers up 12 men and travels to assist the Danes. Neither characters end up refusing the call. Katniss meets her mentors shortly after she volunteers as tribute. She meets Effie, who's a representative from the capital, and gets along with Katniss immediately. Katniss also meets her true mentor, Haymitch, who is a victor for the game. Katniss does not get along with Haymitch as she feels he gives no worthy advice to help her and Peeta stay alive. In Beowulf, he meets Hrothgar soon after he arrives in Denmark. Hrothgar, the king of the Danes, is wise and provides Beowulf with valuable information in battling Grendel and eventually Grendel's mother.
Katniss faces many tests and allies before entering the games. She practices for many days with many of the tribunes, who are forming alliances against her. Katniss befriends a little girl from District 11 named Rue, who becomes her ally in the story.
Beowulf gets tested by Unferth in his story. Unferth is trying to belittle Beowulf by saying he is not great and that he has not won every challenge. Beowulf replies by telling Unferth how he lost the challenge from swimming in the ocean because his friend was not as strong of a swimmer as he was. Beowulf then insults Unferth by saying he would not kill his own brother like Unferth did himself. Katniss faces the supreme ordeal when the decision to allow two winners, her and Peeta, was appealed. Katniss tells Peeta they should eat the poisonous berries so they both would die and the Hunger Games would not have a final victor. As soon as they are about to eat the berries, the announcement comes on that they both have won. Beowulf faces his supreme ordeal when he is fighting Grendel's mother. He breaks his sword while fighting her, and he then finds the sword created by giants and defeats Grendel's mother in the battle. He returns to Hrothgar's meat hall with Grendel's head. Katniss returns to District 12 with all the other districts in Panem now knowing her name and wanting to start a revolution because of her courage. Beowulf returns to Geatland as king, but eventually has to fight a dragon. He dies in the battle and is buried by the sea, so all sailors will now know his name.
Beowulf and the Hunger Games would not be the same well-known stories that they are today without their archetypes. By comparing them, it has become evident that they share similar archetypal elements throughout. The characters, plot, and settings are very consistent with each other in that they follow the same order from beginning to end. Beowulf and the Hunger Games are clearly very similar stories, and because of their compatible archetypal elements, easy to understand.